Afternoon, Codger Biker here, just down about trying a booster plug, like you knew I would. Okay, well, the lockdown is still relaxed here in England, although I think some people are pushing it. I've seen reports of groups of bikers out together, which is going to spoil it for everybody. As I understand it, you can have two of you together and no more, but I digress once more. So I fitted the booster plug to my bike just to try out, really, mainly on the back of how impressed I was by the changes it made to my YouTube friend Campbell01's bike. And I'm not expecting it to have anywhere near as drastic effect upon my bike, because although they have the same engine, the setup on the Adventure is totally different. And the first time you ride an Adventure, when you come from a Duke, I had a Duke before this, the first thing you notice is just the totally different way it moves around at low speed. On the Duke, anything below 30 miles an hour and you had to be in second gear, didn't like third, start hunting forward. So on my bike, 30 miles an hour in third is not really a problem. I have noticed on the bike when I start it, the tick over from cold is not the smoothest. It hunts a little bit. And so when I started it with the booster plug on, I was interested to see whether that would make any difference, and I didn't really notice any difference. But before I get on to that, I'd like to just comment on the instructions and the positioning of the actual plug itself. I followed the instructions to the letter, which suggests placing the plug on the left hand side of the seat. And when I put the seat back, it wouldn't fit back properly, and when I examined it, there's some bits of plastic which push down where the wires go to the booster plug, and try as I might, I couldn't find a place where I was actually comfortable that it fit without trapping either the seat or the wires. Now, it may well be that they fitted it to a 790 Adventure R or to an S with the seat on high, but with the seat on low I have it just didn't fit. So after watching Rob's video, I decided to move the probe to the front of the bike, and I've just about fitted the booster plug in. It took quite a bit of messing about to do it, but I got there in the end. So I fitted it in. I've got the probe poking through the near the front fork yoke. It's well clear of the fork legs. It can't be caught. I've tried it, twisting it from side to side. Can't really see it as I'm riding along, but it's in the airflow. It's not really in the airflow at idle though, so I'm guessing this won't really cool down until I'm moving. Not ideal, but the only way I could get it to fit. So, what have I noticed? Well, as expected, not a lot really. The fueling on this bike's pretty good anyway. The one weakness on this bike, I think I mentioned before, I would say is probably if you wanted to do like 3 or 4 miles an hour off-road in first gear with the clutch not feathered and just trudge through, say, rubble and mud, dirt, whatever, you can't really do that. You tend to, or I tend to feather the clutch. It's no big deal, but it's just something that this kind of engine, which is very light with very light internals, doesn't have that forward momentum. So I kind of hope that a booster plug might just affect that, and I don't really think it does. Here I am now, look, I'm in third gear, I'm driving along at 25 miles an hour, and it's very smooth, very pleasant, no stress. So I think maybe it's made a slight difference to that sort of riding. Not enough to warrant the purchase of it. I don't think you need one. I've seen some people who've bought them because they've a problem with the bike stalling, and have said that's cured it with the richer mixture. But I think if your bike's stalling like that, that's probably a fault with the bike rather than something that can be improved. Mine doesn't have that problem. Anyway, this is only an initial impression. I'll leave it in for a week or two and try it out properly. The bike is very smooth, particularly just this sort of 30-40 mile an hour trudging in third and fourth gear. It's very pleasant. I think maybe there's just a little bit more smoothness from that plug. As I say, really nothing to justify the purchase price, and I couldn't recommend it for the adventure. For the Duke, I'm sure it's well worth getting. Right. Nice to see other people out and about. Oh, it's beautiful. It's so good to be able to ride again. Never mind physical health, psychological health. It's a joy. Eight weeks I could not ride, and I think somebody else said that's about the longest I've not ridden while I've had bikes. So just so nice to be back on the road again. Getting back to the booster plug, there may be just the slightest smoothness in third gear from about 25 to 35 miles an hour. That's all I can say, and even that I'm not certain of. I'd have to disconnect it, try again. It'd be nice if I could have it on like a switch, so I could switch it on and off. It's certainly not dramatic. So, not in conclusion, but my early thoughts on the booster plug for the 790 Adventure. Not required. Codger Biker is, hello bus, out. It's smooth though.